Has this ever happened to you? You get in your old Benz, you go to operate some switch like your power windows or even your power seat switch, or maybe even your sunroof switch over here, and nothing happens. And just like today, I got in my 300 SD and I went to hit the sunroof switch and nothing is happening. And I'm doing the same thing that a lot of you do and say, oh no, I don't need another project. But not so fast. Anytime you have one of these electrical problems, I want to share with you a tip. There's something you always need to check first, and you need to check it first very carefully. I know that a lot of you already know this, but anytime you have an electrical component malfunction, the first thing you want to do is get out and check your fuses. I mean, this is pretty obvious. But a lot of people forget this, and they'll spend a lot of time trying to find a problem, and it turns out to be a fuse. So you pull the lid on your fuse box or get access to your fuses, and the first thing you want to do is look very closely at all the fuses to see if any of them are burned out. And look at here, I'm looking in this 300 SD fuse box, and all of those fuses look okay. In fact, they're the newer style copper and brass alloy fuses that have been installed. So if you don't see anything blown, the next thing you want to do is find out which one of these fuses is the sunroof. So I'm going to get the chart here, and I'm looking down here, and sure enough, look at that. Number 16, sliding roof. So let's find number 16. 16 is right there. That's this fuse. Let's take a real close look at it. You see that? It's not blown, but I want you to look even closer, even more carefully there. Look at the tip, and look at the bottom of the fuse. See the corrosion down there? In fact, I'm seeing corrosion on the contact points on all these other fuses. So even though the fuses have been changed, the contact points were not cleaned properly. So I have a hunch right here that I know what the problem is. So let's do a little test that I've done before to see whether or not this fuse is making proper contact. I'm just going to take my finger in here and I'm going to rock the fuse back and forth a few times like this, and hopefully that'll clean off a little of the corrosion on the tips. This is not a permanent fix here, but it's just for doing a quick test here. Now I'm going to go back in the car and check the sunroof again. Well, check this out. Look at that. The sunroof is moving. Now that's the type of repair I like. Something that only takes 5 minutes to fix. But that's not a permanent repair. Let's head back to the fuse box to make it a repair that's going to last. I should caution you right here, before you start working in your fuse box, come over to your battery and loosen up and remove the ground cable from the battery. I removed all the fuses using my special fuse tool, and it didn't take very long. It's really handy to be able to get these fuses in and out quickly. And now you can clearly see the problem at hand. Look at the amount of corrosion, particularly on these bottom contact points. If you look at the fuses don't look that bad. There's no corrosion on these new fuses, but you can see where the problem lies. A lot of times you'll pull aluminum fuses out and they'll be corroded on the tips like this, and that's why I don't like to use the original aluminum fuses in these fuse boxes. These are a grade of fuses not quite as nice as the ones we have, but I want to show you now the kit I put together to help solve this particular problem. The kit includes 20 of the 8 amp white fuses and 5 of the blue 25 amp fuses. There's a special brass brush for cleaning those contacts. I have applicators here and a very small container of silicone dielectric grease, And then, of course, the special tool that we make here in the shop to remove and replace the fuses easily. Now, you're going to say, well, Kent, what about the red fuses, the 16 amperes? Well, I need to explain that these are no longer available. The only thing you can buy now are aluminum fuses. Even if companies say they have these fuses or show you the picture of the brass copper alloy fuses, they're going to ship you aluminum ones. So Kaya bought up all the ones we could find in the country, but we could not find the alloy red ones. Right there, we cannot find them. So you'll have to source those yourself. I know some of you are already thinking, hey Kent, you're going to provide us with a fuse kit and not give us any red fuses, even though you don't like the aluminum ones? So I started thinking about this. Okay, I'm going to provide you free of charge with 10 aluminum red fuses. So that'll save you the trouble of going out and getting the fuses on your own, like I said earlier. So these will be provided in the kit free of charge. The reason I include a brass brush instead of stainless steel or nylon is this will attack the corrosion without scratching these contact points. So it's just a matter of taking your time and really cleaning these contact points. Of course, you're going to have to turn the brush upside down, use the smaller end to clean these ones. All right, now you can begin to see I'm starting to get them clean, and sometimes getting in these corner ones is a little more difficult. But I'll keep working on this. When I get this all clean, I'll come back and we'll install those new fuses. I think anyone watching this will say, wow, what a difference. I'm not going to have to worry about corrosion any longer, but I'm going to recommend something in this video. I don't always do this, but anytime I find a fuse box that has excessive corrosion, I always use silicone dielectric grease when I install the new fuses. And I've thoroughly cleaned this. You probably noticed that I didn't keep track of the fuses when I pulled them out, because a lot of times people won't put the right fuses in the right place. You want to go by the chart. So I'm going to start on this row here. This is B, and then it goes 2, 4, 6. Then over on this side there's A, and you have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on. So I'll start down this row, do one at a time. Once again, remember, make sure you have that battery ground unhooked. And so I'm going to look at this one and look at the chart. It shows a circle, which means that is a red one. In the kit, you're going to have this small container of silicone dielectric grease and some lint-free swabs here. So let me show you how I'm going to do this. You don't need a lot of silicone on the tips when you install these new fuses. You basically just put a dab right there and then go over here and just a little fine coating. That's all you need on the fuses. What that's going to do is prevent any of this corrosion from creeping back that maybe you weren't able to get to completely. Now you can take the special tool, clamp it so the handles are up, and then I'm going to take my fingernail and pull up on the top clip while I put that in. Snap it into place, then I'll rotate it back and forth. You'll feel it pop into the hole. Now I'm going to go on to number 2. You notice number 2 is high beam and right, and it's a square, which down here a square is a white or 8 amp fuse. So I'll grab a white fuse. And once again, just put a dab on there. You wonder why I give you such a small container of silicone dielectric grease. Well, you don't need very much. Put the fuse in the tool like this, and I'm going to take it and go this way, and I'm going to put it down in there and get my fingernail and pry up on the tab and pop it in. When I'll rotate it back and forth and bring the fuse to the front so I can visually inspect it in the future. Okay, now I'm going to go right down the line. Following the guide, I'll do this top row and then I'll do the bottom row, and I'll come back and show you how it looks and compare this repair was what it looked like before we started. There's another way you can use this tool to get the fuses back in the holders. It depends upon your access and alignment and what type of fuse box you have. But I'm going to show you in this one the other way to do it. You can put the fuse right up at the top like that, and then instead of pushing the bottom in first, you're going to come and hook the top in like this and push back on it and rotate it in like that, and then take the tool off. And then you could just once again rotate it back and forth like this to make sure it's properly seated in, and then move on to the next fuse. When you're finished installing all the new fuses, be sure and double check your work. Make sure every one of those fuses is popped into the contact points correctly. Double check the chart to make sure you've installed the proper fuse. And most fuse boxes will have these little slots where you can store some extra fuses for future use. So you'll have to admit now that this certainly looks a lot better than it did when we started on it earlier this afternoon. Now you can put the fuse box lid back on. I don't even need to bother to check my sunroof because I know it's going to work. But can you imagine if I had not done this? Could you just imagine the ongoing electrical problems I would have had in this car if I hadn't have gone into this fuse box here and did this extensive service on the fuses? Just for fun, I thought I'd take you inside a couple other fuse boxes, both on W126 models. This is on a 300 SD that's sat outside a lot. It's had a lot of exposure to moisture, so let's open this one up. Okay, here you can see it's got the old style aluminum fuses, at least in the white 8 amp. And it doesn't look too bad, but I'm looking over at a couple here, particularly this one here. You can start to see a little bit of corrosion on the tip right there coming through that holder. I can see over here I have a blown fuse. That's for the power windows. I'm going to pull that one out. We'll look and see what a blown fuse looks like. Usually blows right in the middle there, and that's something you can obviously spot. But another type of problem like this where the tip is corroded, that's kind of hard to spot. So let's pull both these 8 amperes. All right, look at the corrosion there. And that one's not too bad right there, but look at the corrosion. It's very subtle. You know, on the bottoms, they don't look too bad. But you have enough corrosion right there that can present a problem if not dealt with properly. This is also a W126. It's an 86420 SEL, but it's been in a garage almost its entire life. It's in excellent condition. Let's take a look inside its fuse box. Look at the CAD plating on the clasp. It looks like this one has all the original fuses in it. But guess what? I'm seeing some corrosion on the tips of these white fuses right here. I'm going to pull a couple of these and we'll take a closer look. Take a close look at this one. You can see it started to even wear through the tip due to the corrosion. This one's not far behind it. These two don't look too bad, but this is a really good illustration. The moral of the story is any of these 1995 and older Mercedes-Benz, even in really nice condition, probably need a fuse box service. And so if you're interested in my kit, just check the link in the Show More description below this video. And remember, when you purchase these type of products on my website, they're a way you can continue to support the channel and the future production of these videos.